This is KW Magazine, 98.5 CKWR. I'm John Maceal. Thank you for joining us tonight. Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life is, of course, a critically acclaimed, timeless film that stars James Stewart and Donna Reed about George Bailey, a businessman who has fallen on hard times and, of course, considers suicide until an angel, Clarence, reveals to him how much his family and his community have benefited from his existence. The movie's universal themes of community, regret, and spirituality continue to this day to resonate with audiences more than 7 decades after the film's release. This year marks the 75th anniversary, in fact, of It's a Wonderful Life. And Hollywood veterans Doug Stebleton and Reinhard Dunke have taken a fresh look at the making of the movie in the form of a new novel titled It's a Wonderful Time. And we're pleased to have Mr. Stebleton join us on the line. Good evening. How are you?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on, John. I appreciate it.
Much appreciated as well. You were born in Montana, and at the tender age of 19, back in 1984, decided to head to Hollywood. What prompted you to do that?
Well, I'm a musician, so I had, started playing guitar when I was about 16, and my guitar teacher had said, you should go to music school. I think you're good enough to go. So there was 2 colleges, either one, and I said, which ones do you think? He said either Berkeley on the East Coast or Musicians Institute in Hollywood. And so I picked Hollywood because I'd been there the year before, and I liked the weather, and I've always liked Hollywood, so I ended up going there. And I'm really glad I did. It was a great decision. I've been out here since then, 84 till now, so 30-some years, 35, 6 years. And that's how I got out here. And right after I got done, I ended up getting a job at the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is a famous hotel as a valet parker. And that being there was kind of put me on the trajectory of different people I'd meet through the years to getting into the music business and film business and eventually writing this book.
And as I say, the rest is history.
Yes, yeah.
Now, speaking of the book, give us a quick overview of the book itself. It is a novel, as I mentioned. Give us a quick overview of it.
Sure. The name of the book is called It's a Wonderful Time, which is a takeoff of the movie It's a Wonderful Life, just in time, since it's a time travel book. And I originally came up with the idea back in 1993, and I made it into an outline, and I was in the music business for many years, not really in the film business as a producer or anything at that point. But I came up with a story, I wrote it down, and then I eventually co-wrote a movie script, based off that outline with my friend George, who's a very good screenwriter, who did about 20 films and 20 scripts. And so that happened in 2005, and tried to get it made in Hollywood, but it was like a $20 million film. Always got really good reception, but it was always a pass, and usually because they always said, love the idea, it's a very unique story, but it's not what we're looking for at this time. So that was kind of the history of it. And then about 2 years ago, I thought, I might never get this movie made at $20 million, but I could actually take that movie script, which is about 120 pages, and make it into a novel, which, add another 120 pages, so around, 300 or 240, pages at 12 font, that is, like a Word doc. And so that's what I did. And because I wanted to get the story out, because I knew people would love the story because of the connection with It's a Wonderful Life film, which happens to be my favorite film. And the screenplay / book is an homage to that film. And most of it, a lot of it takes place on the set of the actual movie, because the guy that goes back into time, he's a 25-year-old trailer editor who works in Hollywood, and he goes back through certain circumstances and ends up in 1946 Hollywood, which is the year they made It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm. You're listening to KW Magazine, 98.5 CKWR. Doug Stebleton is our guest. He, along with Reinhard Dunke, are the co-authors of a new book titled It's a Wonderful Time. On this anniversary, 75th anniversary of that classic film, It's a Wonderful Life. Now, in terms of Hollywood, and as you mentioned, you've been there for some 30-plus years, 37 years. Things are quite different, certainly now, from even when you first arrived. But when you look back to the 1940s and the time when this movie was made, Hollywood was a totally different place, wasn't it?
It was a different place. I mean, I think it was at least in Hollywood, a better time, of family and the morals that our country had. We certainly strayed away from those things in the last 75 years. I think back in those days, in the 40s and 50s, kids were getting in trouble for chewing gum and running down the halls, and that's not the case these days. Dealing with guns and knives and stuff. So I think it was a more innocent time at one point, but still, it wasn't that innocent in regards to the things that were going on with the movie stars and all the exploits, and there was still things going on, but I feel it was a nicer time than it is now.
As successful as A Wonderful Life has been over the years, I was surprised to find out that when it first came out, it was a disappointment at the box office. Do we know why?
Yeah, that is partly true. When it came out in December. The premiere of it was December 20th, 1946, at the Globe Theater in New York, and that was the first time it was seen by the public on that level. And then it came out to the general public in January of 1947. But when it came out, it actually got mixed reviews. Not all bad reviews, but definitely mixed reviews. And so I think more people more liked it than disliked it. But the problem on the money side is it came when it came out. There was a major snowstorm on the East Coast, and a lot of people just didn't go out to the movies that weekend. And the first weekend is usually the what tells them if it's going to be a hit or not. And unfortunately, it didn't make a lot of money when it first came out because of that snowstorm. And then back then they didn't have all the stuff we have now with cable and DVDs and VHS and DVDs. Those ancillary markets weren't available then. So after maybe a month or so, they would just go back and sit on the the shelves at the movie studios. So that's kind of and I think Frank Capra lost about $500,000. I don't think the film barely broke even. So it was a disappointment for them in the movie studio financially, but the reviews were mixed. So,
when you go back 75 years and you try to uncover as much information about something like this, the making of a wonderful life, how difficult was it to be able to research the information for the book?
Well, it wasn't that difficult. There's a book. Actually, I'm holding it in my hand because I had it on my desk, and it's a book called the It's a Wonderful Life book, and it was written by Janine Bassinger, and it's like a big coffee table book, but it has the whole script in there, the original script, and then she has a lot of trivia. And I read this a long time ago when I was making the script, and then with the internet, there's just tons of stuff that you can find. So I'm a big fan, of Jimmy Stewart. He's my favorite old movie star, and Capra. So I'm very familiar with all of his movies. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, You Can't Take It With You, the Philadelphia Story, all those kind of movies I just love. So I've always known a lot about him and Capra and stuff. So I just took all that knowledge and used a lot of it when I was writing the script.
KW Magazine, 98.5 CKWR. We're chatting with Doug Stebleton. He, along with Reinhard Danke, are the co-authors of It's a Wonderful Time, just in time to celebrate the 75th anniversary of It's a Wonderful Life. You talked about Jimmy Stewart, and one of the things that you talk about in the book is that he had to deal with an illness during the time that he was making the movie. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, it was, him and Frank Capra both took 4 years off. They went, they were fighting over in Europe. And Jimmy was a B-24 bomber pilot, and he flew actually 30 combat missions. And Capra was, I think, with the Film Corps, making documentary movies, the Why We Fight series, and filming a lot of the war. And so I think more Jimmy than Capra, but Jimmy came back with PTSD. I don't think they were calling it that back then, but it definitely did affect him, on the film. And there are certain parts in the movie, if you remember, the part where he was sitting at the in the bar, crying when he was found out the money had been lost, and he was praying to God, please help me, God, Lord, if you're listening. That what he was really reaching down inside, thinking about all the lonely people in the world and stuff. And I think he was reaching kind of in the stuff that he felt when he was in the war and losing a lot of the guys that were flying, in his bomber wing and or his bomber, He was like the head of it. I'm not sure what the number was, but anyway, unfortunately lost a lot of guys, and that's going to be really painful for someone like that. And also the scene where he comes and throws over the tables at the house when the kids are playing the piano, and he kind of reached deep down. I think those are real deep, dark emotions that he kind of pulled up from what he was dealing with from coming back from the war. This was in April through July is when they shot the movie, the production of it. So, the war hadn't even been over, 12 months yet. It was still, it was still kind of fresh. Mm-hmm. So, and it's kind of tough to kind of acclimate yourself back into civilian life, coming back from the things that those guys saw, and even tougher probably doing a movie and you haven't been in the movie business for 4 years. So that was his illness. It was not like he had a cold or something, but he was dealing with some mental stuff. But it was totally understandable.
Indeed. Now you mentioned the snowstorm that sort of hampered the release of the movie. The other interesting aspect, if for folks who have seen the movie, of course, is all the snow that was made, as part of the movie. And
yes.
Again, you came up with some interesting research on how that was achieved.
Yeah, back then, when they were making snow back in Hollywood, they were using cornflakes painted white, and it looked okay. But what happened when they would do the close-up shots, and the actors would be walking, you could hear the crunch of the cornflakes, which picks up on the audio, so they'd have to redo their lines. So one of the guys, I think his name was Russell Sherman, he was in the special effects, the special effects man on the film. He came up with a thing called fomite, basically it was ingredients that he put together with soap and water and I guess it's called fomite, the stuff that they use in fire extinguishers, and that mixture coming out of pipes going through big fans would come out like nice little flakes, like real snow, and then it would eventually just melt away because it was soap. So no crackling or anything like they had before. So I think the guy even got a special award for doing that, but it was kind of a breakthrough at the time.
Indeed.
But that's, it's pretty neat.
Pretty ingenious. Now, your book has some pretty interesting characters. This gentleman that you mentioned, the main character, Evan West, he befriends Jimmy Stewart in the book and gets a job with Frank Capra, and then he goes on to meet this Dr. William Cooper. He's a pretty interesting character. Tell us briefly about that character in the book.
Yeah. So. As I said, this was originally from a script, and there was no series. But when I decided to make it into a novel, I came up with the Hollywood time travel series. So this is book one of that series. And since he's going to keep going back to different decades, or maybe forward to help different movies, get made the way they were supposed to, I thought it would be good to have a time travel buddy or companion that he eventually meets, so it would be more interesting, the two of them working together to help make these movies get done the way they were supposed to. So Reinhardt and I, I originally came up with a guy named Dr. William Cooper, but I thought it could be worked on a little better. So when I got with Reinhardt and we talked about it, we decided to make the guy, originally he was from the future, but this time we decided to make him from the past, basically born in 1870, and also a black man. So his parents were right after the Civil War. He was born in 1870, so parents were slaves, but we made him like a genius, a very, very smart guy, speaking different languages, spending all his time at the library. They eventually go from the South and move up to Harlem in New York, and he's a very interesting character because we end up putting him at the time when Nikola Tesla was doing all these experiments with with all the electricity and wireless technology and stuff. And so Coop, Coop is his nickname, but we have him working as Nikola Tesla's assistant. Mm-hmm. And so he, through certain one of Tesla's experiments, Tesla wasn't there, but Coop ends up going to the future, to 1944. And and Evan goes from 2021 back to 1946. So Coop's already been there a couple years. And that's how they meet. And I won't tell you the rest, but yeah, he's a very interesting character. He's kind of like Spock in a way. He's very, very smart, and the two of them are so far working well together.
The book is called "It's a Wonderful Time." It is authored by Doug Stebleton and Reinhard Danke. It is also published by the folks at Banner Press. And as we mentioned, it's perfect timing because this year we celebrate the 75th anniversary of "It's a Wonderful A Wonderful Life," rather, which was a book or a film rather that came out in the 1940s, and most people, of course, are familiar with it. Now, you mentioned the notion of a series. So your intention, of course, is to put together a series of books that perhaps work around classic films. Is that the idea?
Yeah, the idea is, and just so you know, people, if they want to check, find out a little more about it, the website is HollywoodTimeTravel.com. And so the name of the series is the Hollywood Time Travel Series. It's a Wonderful Time is the first book. Yeah, and the plan is for Reinhard and I to write a book maybe every year and a half or so. We're going to start again just in January next, I guess tomorrow's December. So in the next month, January, February, we'll start. We're already doing research, and we kind of know what we're going to do for the next book and also maybe the third book. But the idea is, there's so many amazing movies just in every year. There's iconic movies that are no-brainers, but we just have to figure out which ones we're going to pick, but they will definitely be ones that people know, or a certain movie star that gets helped in their path, whatever they did in life. But it's always going to be around movies. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. Things are going to happen on MGM, on Paramount, all these different movie lots out here where everything was made. Could happen in New York too, but Hollywood, California is definitely the epicenter for all that stuff. So that's the plan, and we'll see. I would love it if eventually, after we maybe get 3 books, maybe one of the streaming channels, our studios like Netflix or Hulu or Apple TV, they're always looking for content. Maybe they will see it as a good series, But if not, that's okay. We still want to write the books because we think there will be a fan base. We're hoping that after this first one, people will want more. So.
Absolutely. Well, you can't, I don't think, start any better than this, featuring what is certainly a wonderful movie. You mentioned the website, Hollywood Time Travel or Travels? Singular, Hollywood Time Travel, no
Travel. S. Okay. HollywoodTimeTravel.com.
Fantastic. Well, listen, continued success. We really appreciate you taking the time to tell us about the book and tell us a little bit about the movie. It's a Wonderful Life. Thank you again. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
All the best. Chatting with Doug Stebleton, who along with Reinhard Danke are the co-authors of a new book titled "It's a Wonderful Time," just in time to celebrate the 75th anniversary of "It's a Wonderful Life." And that website again is HollywoodTimeTravel.com. This is KW Magazine, 98.5 CKWR.